Hello to everyone in the internet. I'm Nathan of Washington, and you are watching The Young Globalist. It is currently Friday, November 30th, and this is the news. So the Canadian government has sanctioned 17 Saudis over the killing of Kashoggie. You can hear some children running around in the background. Can't do anything about that, sorry. Anyway, these sanctions will freeze their Canadian assets and make them inadmissible to their country. This is potentially signaling something that I think America's too afraid to admit. That while we need Saudi Arabia for their oil, admittedly, because we're dependent on foreign oil, we can't just let them get away with absolutely everything in the name of that. Canada's basically wiping their hands clean of Saudi Arabian politics, which are frequently very dirty. The impact going forward is that this could potentially lead other countries to taking similar action against the Sauds, but probably not America. No, we'll probably still rely on them for a good long while. We'll probably get heavily criticized for it going forward into the future, which I believe to some extent we should be. Although sometimes you look at the bigger picture, sometimes there's certain things you just gotta put up with. I'm not saying that makes it right, I'm just saying sometimes there's nothing you can do. And there's consequences for being so moral all the time. Doing the right thing. There's always, you know, an after effect that you should try and find a way to deal with. Losing Saudi oil means we'd have to end up finding oil elsewhere, or giving it up altogether. So these other countries that would end up criticizing us, they got to understand our situation. We're largely dependent on foreign oil. And you know they're going to criticize us for that and then not offer any help. So, you know, that's how that goes. If they want to clean their hands of Saudi Arabia, that's fine. But America needs them right now, is the unfortunate reality. They need to get off their high horse and admit that. We're not really in a situation to do what they can do. Anyway, moving on. Trump's $50 million present to Putin. This makes him look a little bad. Alright, this might give the Mueller probe some credit. Being that the Trump organization was planning to give a $50 million penthouse to Putin. They uncovered this. And this was apparently during negotiations to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. The plan itself was to give a $50 million penthouse and then charge $250 million for the rest of the units to attract Russian oligarchs who would want to get really close to Putin and live in the same building as him. Because Putin's like a major celebrity there. This does not look good for Trump. This could be like a favor for favor situation, like, Vladimir, I'll give you a $50 million penthouse and charge $250 million for additional tenants if you help me win the American election. You know, that's what it could be. Of course, to prove that, they would have to in order to prove that, they would have to find a direct line showing how it's relevant. Because the two could be mutually exclusive. In a legal proceeding, philosophical proof doesn't count. They would have to show physical evidence of forensic or empirical that there was any connection between the two. So this is not a knockout blow like the Democrats are making it out to be. But it does make Trump look a little suspicious. So we'll see how that goes going forward. Moving on. Eric Bauman, the Democratic chairman, is resigning over a sexual misconduct probe into his history. He was the first ever gay party chairman, and apparently he had some sexual misconduct in the past, and now they're asking him to resign. Because, that's the Democratic Party line, as per usual. Moving on. Pocahontas wants to adjust our foreign policy toward diplomacy rather than military intervention. And of course, you know me by Pocahontas, I mean Elizabeth Warren. Ich bin eine Indian, ja. Yeah, a woman of German descent, an Indian. Right. But, yeah, she wants to move toward diplomacy rather than military intervention. Which, call me naive if you want, but I think that's probably a good idea. As a libertarian, I do not believe in all these ridiculous proxy wars and military invasions. Essentially, America being a bully state. Which, by the way, the history of that goes a little farther back than most people want to think. Andrew Jackson. During Andrew Jackson's presidency, America was pretty much entirely a bully state, with our Navy going around intimidating people into paying trade fees or taking money from them unfairly. You can look a lot of the history up yourself. America has been a bully state for a long time, and that needs to end. That needs to end. Unfortunately, though, Elizabeth Warren, Miss Pocahontas, is not going to have the clout to push such an idea. They're going to reject it on the ground that she's crazy, and she's a little, off kilter. Anyway, moving on. The USMCA, the new North American trade deal, has now been signed by Donald Trump, Justin Trudeau, and Enrique Nieto. The leaders of all three nations of North America have signed the agreement, and a new trade deal has been made, one that will be more beneficial and more effective in our modern era. And Trump championed the move because Trump is a businessman. So sometimes I'd say the guy is amazing, and I love some of the things he does, but at the same time, he's a huge jackass and gets us into a lot of trouble. We didn't get the president we wanted. We got the president we deserved. He's a statement on our culture. Still, this new deal will be good for us. Be very good for us. For all of us, Mexico and Canada. Moving on. My final story for today. Petro Poroshenko banning all Russian males ages 16 to 60 from entering Ukraine, so as to prevent a secret army from being built within Ukraine. Also, Russian tanks have been positioned at the border, and there is the question of whether or not Russia will invade. Russia's actions towards Ukraine lately have looked very negative, and you gotta wonder, what's Putin gonna say about this? What's his word? What's he gonna say? What is he gonna say for himself? I mean, what do you gotta say for yourself, Vladimir? Because your actions lately have been very provocative. Ukraine was just doing the normal, typical stuff any country does. Usual patrolling, Occasionally get maybe a little too close to someone else's territory, not necessarily meaning to. Like maybe their course calculations were slightly off. I'm not saying Ukraine will be completely innocent in this, but Russia's behavior of late, with the annexing of Crimea and the positioning on the Crimean Peninsula, and then now the tanks on the border, this could lead to military action on Russia's part. It could mean possible invasion and then forcing an invasion of the Ukraine, and then forcing Ukraine to subsequently join the Russian Federation by force. A conquest. But we'll just have to see what Vladimir Putin has to say about this. I want to hear what he has to say about this, what he's got to say for himself. I think the whole world's waiting to see just what Putin says. It's going to be epic, I'll bet. Anyway, that's it for the Young Globalist today. Tschüss.